This week is How High Should We Aspire? Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. The passage this week is from the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 5. I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. The easiest explanation for these words is that they were spoken in criticism of the scribes and Pharisees, particularly since Jesus was often verbally attacked by them and stood up to them fearlessly. However, it wouldn't have been much of a challenge to the disciples, who aspired to spiritual perfection, to tell them, don't be like those who lack any such aspiration. Jesus, in fact, says only a few verses later, be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father, which is in heaven, is perfect. What Jesus was referring to here then was the self-righteousness of the priests. Don't seek perfection, he was saying to his disciples, in the image you project toward others. Don't be satisfied with a goodness born merely of ego definitions. The highest virtue is to transcend the very thought of personal virtue in the realization of God alone as the doer. Before this realization, even the thought, I am kind, or I am truthful, is self-limiting. As it says in the Bhagavad Gita, the 7th chapter, yet hard the wise Mahatma is to find, that man who saith, all is Vasudev. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Oh, oh, oh.
We're going to have our Whispers from Eternity reading now. Can you all hear us? Okay. Denise is going to read today.
Tune us that we may hear thy voice. Volumes of thy Savior voice resound through the loudspeaker of every loving heart. The voice of thy wisdom roams through the ether of space, seeking everywhere hearts that are tuned to ecstasy. Sadly, thy warning sermons pass unheard by souls deafened with the static of sense pleasures. O divine broadcaster, tune our souls, long distracted by the static of our indifference. Fine-tune us with the delicate touch of soul perception. Grant us the privilege of hearing thy magic melodies in the ecstasy of divine awakening.
That ecstasy of divine awakening is our birthright, ladies and gentlemen. We may not be there at this time, but we have a lighthouse, a way shore in the two people that have influenced our lives, Paramahansa Yogananda and Swami Kriyananda. None of us would be here today on this Sunday listening to this talk if it wasn't for Yogananda coming with great sacrifice and great tribulations, but also with great joy, coming to America in 1920. We had a wonderful celebration out in Boston last year. It was delayed a couple of years, but still, it was such a wonderful blessing to be there in Boston where he landed, and you all are carrying on. Swami came to Yogananda in 1948. He was brought up in a very well-to-do family. He put his mother on the boat to to Egypt and to be with her husband in Cairo, who was a geologist. And it was that day when he put her on the boat, he went into a bookstore and he picked up the autobiography of a yogi. And from that day to this day, his legacy has inspired thousands, if not millions. Master's book, Paramahansa Yogananda's autobiography, has been a lighthouse for millions of people. Recently, Denise and I were giving a concert at the Unity Church in Marin County, where Denise was used to be affiliated on the board of directors and so forth. And many, many people would say, "Oh, Autobiography of a Yogi. I've read that book. Oh, that was such an inspiration." And then Denise would say, "Well, I'm living at Ananda Village now." And they were so taken aback. And many people have come up from that church to Ananda incognito. And one of her friends came to the meditation retreat, and Denise was living up there, and she said, "What are you doing here?" Master's influence is remarkable. And he touched one soul, James Donald Walters, and who took the name of Swami Kriyananda. And he said to Swamiji, he said, "Your life will be writing, lecturing, and spreading this message of self-realization." He said, "Well, Master, you've written all these books already, Whispers from Eternity, the Songs of the Soul. You've done all these, your autobiography of a yogi." He says, "Oh, there much more must be done." 10 years ago today, well, not today, on Friday, the 21st of April, Swamiji had his Moksha Day. And it really is a day of celebration, because his liberation, Yogananda said, you'll find your liberation at the time of death. And this is a promise that Sri Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita. And it's a beautiful promise that Krishna gives. Who those who follow me, who don't attain the highest in this incarnation, if you can remember me and call on me, meaning call on God, call on Christ, call on Mother Mary, at the time of your passing, you will find freedom in the infinite. This promise, Swamiji had woke up that morning in Assisi, Italy, and he was corresponding with his brother and his younger brother. He was the oldest of three sons, and he was corresponding, and he was having trouble breathing that morning. And his nurse was there, Miriam, and Narayani, who wrote a book entitled "Thank You, Swami." It's a very powerful book. You should all get a copy if it's not there in the boutique. But to read how he left this world gives us an example of how we can also, if we haven't attained the highest in this incarnation, how we can also leave this world consciously in the arms of the Divine Mother. Swamiji was having trouble breathing. He had all sorts of ailments. It was remarkable the life that he lived. He had both hips replaced 3 times. One hip replacement didn't take. And so many times we would be visiting him in the hospital, or he would be taken to the hospital here in America or in Italy or in India. And he was taking on the karma of other people. Now, this is something a bit strange for us, but as Jesus talked about um, in the Bible, that he's taking on the sins of the world. In a sense, Swamiji was taking on the sins of the world through his disciples, those friends who were close with him. Our present spiritual directors, Jyotish and Devi Novak, they were recounting yesterday many stories of Swamiji. We had celebration here at Ananda Village of recounting various stories. And one of the stories was Swamiji had gone on a cruise. And this was a cruise up in Norway. And he went alone. He wanted to go on this cruise alone. And so they came to meet him in Zurich after the cruise was over, and that he was coming in on the train. And he got off the train and he saw two of the leaders, Anand and Kirtani. And he said, "Oh, the cruise was wonderful, but what's so more wonderful is to see your faces, to see the friends that God has sent to me." And when I first came to Ananda, we used to have a monastery in the early days around where Swami lived. The nuns lived in one section and the monks lived in the other section. I lived with the monks in a teepee, and Swamiji called our monastery the Friends of God. And that's really the greatest thing. No matter where you are on the planet, we're born into a family. We have these relationships with our mother, our father, our relatives, and we gradually find friends going to school. We also find enemies, people who don't like us. But the friendship is such a kind and wonderful encouragement to life because we find joy. We find that divine joy in friendship. And that's what Swami saw of everyone he came in contact with. Didn't matter. Narayani, who wrote this book, thank you, Swamiji, she told a story yesterday. She was visiting Assisi, Italy, and it was on Zoom. And so she was with Swami at the airport. And there was a woman at the airport crying, not far from them. And so Swami said to Narayani, go over there and find out why that woman's crying. It was so beautiful, this story. And she went over it, and then she came back and she said, well, the woman lost her passport, but she's has contacted the embassy, and everything is being worked out, and the Swami kept noticing that this woman kept crying. And I said, Narayani, go back and talk with that. Be a friend to that woman. Just sit with her and just be her friend. So Narayani sat for a time, and then she came back and said, she's doing fine now, Swamiji. And even a third time, Swamiji said, go back to that woman. You don't need to be with me. Just sit with her. You don't have to say anything to her. Just sit with her. And afterwards, Narayani realized Swami was doing that for me. He was telling me to go again and again to see that woman for my own benefit, to opening my heart. Because on that third time that I returned to speak with that woman who I didn't know, I felt this divine presence flood my body. And that love just flowed through me to this person who was having a very difficult time. This is our journey, folks. You don't need to be, you know, coming to church every Sunday. The church is every day. The church is our ability to minister unto the world. Jesus said, go out and preach the gospel, the good news unto the world. This is the life of a Kriya Yogi, of a self-realizationist. This is our religion. Self-realization is the knowing, as Paramahansa Yogananda said, in all parts of body, mind, and soul, that you are now in possession of the kingdom of heaven. You don't have to pray that it come to you. All you need to do is increase your knowing. And that's our journey. It's a day-to-day journey. It's at the grocery store. It's with your grandchildren. It's with your people in your life that are transitioning. Inez told me of a fantastic movie that I've seen twice so far with friends. It's entitled Astral City, and I recommend this film to everyone. It's on Amazon Prime streaming. If you haven't seen it, try to watch it tonight, because it's really just a fantastic film of this relationship that we have to the universe, to everyone that we come in contact with. The Buddha said, no one who has crossed my path, no one who has crossed my path was a stranger to me. Something to meditate on. Everyone that we, even on the freeway, if someone's honking at you and giving you the bird, even that person has a relationship with you that is there to help you grow in compassion and love and understanding. And so this film, Astral City, talks about, and it's a true story, because this fellow who wrote a book in Brazil, he had a near-death experience. And in this near-death experience, he was shown the astral universe on what it was like on the other side. And he was told, now you have to go back. You have to go back and you have to share this with the world. And they did a fantastic film. Inez was the one who told me about it. If you all could watch it in a group, that would be fantastic. If you have movie nights at the Ananda Center, that could be a fantastic thing. But you know, I refer to this film spiritually all the time in my mind, because you are linked right now with the other side. You might not know it. Each one of us has certain psychic abilities. Sometimes we have dreams of our relatives who've passed away, or of Yogananda or Swamiji. And all dreams like that are significant, because it shows you the love. It shows you the unconditional love and surrender of friendship that is eternal. And this is something that we need to grow on. And in the Astral City, this one fellow, he dies, and he leaves his wife and his two children. And on the other side, he sees his mother, he sees his family and friends on the other side who left before him. But he's always thinking, I want to go back and see how my wife and my children are doing. And so on the other side, they have these teachers. It's so beautiful. The teachers are showing him how to grow spiritually on the other side. And one of the ways is learning how to commune with God, with the higher beings. And that's what we're doing, folks, at Ananda. Ananda means joy. the joy of our higher self. It's that joy of God eternal that is manifested in all creation. Yogananda means one who practiced yoga to experience the bliss or joy of God. Kriyananda, a person of action. Kriya means action. I act only for the joy of God. And so this is something that we are all here to learn lessons and to grow. But to have a person who has all the readings at our Nanda Sunday services are written by Swami Kriyananda. He wrote over 100 books. He wrote over 300 pieces of music, but not just to glorify him. Denise is going to have to leave because she has choir rehearsal now with the Ananda group. So she say goodbye to the group. No, yeah, come back in.
Bye-bye. Enjoy.
She hasn't become a minister yet, but she's a minister in her own rights. She has been on the path for many, many years. She took Kriya in December for the first time, but Denise has been a long time mindful meditation teacher and yoga teacher for over how many years? 20 years. And she came to Ananda and was drawn to Swamiji and Ananda, and it's been a blessing for me. But I want to conclude our Sunday service with this acknowledgement of the legacy that we have. Understand that God is the doer. This reading that we had today on humility is a very important one. Yogananda said, when this I shall die, then I'll know who I am. This ego is something that keeps us entrapped. And it's really not us who are doing anything. If we can offer all of our successes, our failures, our accomplishments at the feet of Divine Mother, that's where freedom lies. Swamiji, one of the greatest things he said to us on a regular basis, he said, every night before I go to bed, I put all of you into an imaginary bonfire. And I see that everything that I've done or have tried to do, all my friends are a part of God, are a part of the universe. I own nothing. I own no one. I am free. He used to do this song. I need nothing, I am free, in myself I am free. I need no one, I am free, in myself I am free. In myself I am free, in myself I am free. I am free, ever free, in myself I am free. I am joyful, ever free, in myself I am free. I am blissful, ever free, in myself I am free. I want you to take that with you. You're here as a child of God, seeking to grow in the Spirit, in freedom. Nothing is yours. God is yours. And God is, as Yogananda said, this world is a dream within a dream. And in this poem, My India, he ended his life, Paramahansa Yogananda, where Ganges flow and men dream God. My body was hallowed. It touched that sod. India has come to America through our divine guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, and our spiritual guide, Swami Kriyananda, 10 years ago, Kriyananda left this world. And over 70 years ago, 71 years ago, Yogananda left this world. But understand that their energy and consciousness is ever with us. To those who think me near, Yogananda said, I will be near even after death. And that's the same with Swamiji. God bless you all on your journey of eternity.